Good morning, Periscope. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining. I hope everybody had an awesome weekend. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining. Good morning, Melzilla. Good morning, Din. Good morning, Smiles. Good morning, Jasmine. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Simon from London. Missed you too. Smiles. Good morning, Kelly, Wanda, Nanette, Linda Young. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Eden. Good morning from Buffalo. Good morning, Molly, Artina, Bobby, Michelle, Faith, Kayla. Hey, girl. Hey, Tracy Moss. Good morning. Beautiful to you as well. Good morning from Zambia, Africa. Thank you for already inviting your followers. You guys are awesome. Good morning, pass the baton. Good morning from Turkey. Oh, it's your birthday, Denise. If it is, happy birthday to you. Good morning, KM, Inga, Derby Lines, Evan. Good morning from Texas. I will pray for your mom. Be healed in Jesus' name. Thank you, Molly, Miss Tracy, Kayla, and Jasmine for inviting followers. Awesome. Good morning. Oh, good morning, Dr. G. Thank you for joining. Oh, yes. Thank you. Good morning. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining today's Sunrise Scope. Happy Monday to you all. Good morning, Patrick. I hope you're well. I hope that you guys had an awesome weekend and are ready to start off your Monday, start off your week, just with joy and with gratitude and full of hope. So as many of you know, I think I've shared this several times, my 25th birthday is a week from today. So I am excited. I had a little bit of some anxiety about it because I do feel like, I'm getting old. But overall, I am super excited to turn 25. So I was kind of thinking about, what God would have me to Periscope about as I'm about to enter into being a quarter of a century old. And so what I want to do, I feel like one of the best birthday gifts that God has given me, and one of the things I'm most grateful for, is the people that He allows me to pour into every day. So you guys on Periscope, you guys truly are my hashtag Scope family. I love joining you guys every morning. I'm so grateful that you guys do join. So what I want to do for my 25th birthday is give you guys a gift, because ultimately you guys are a gift to me, and I find it an honor to be able to wake up with you guys every morning and start our days off in wisdom. So what I'm going to do is this week I'm going to do 5 things that you should leave behind. So turning 25, 5 things you should leave behind. And then next week I'm going to do turning 25, 5 things you should take with you. So basically, from the perspective of someone who's about to turn 25, I want to share with you this week 5 things that I am really trying to and aiming to leave in my past. Another thing I just wanted to tell you guys about, I told you I would tell you last Friday, but I want to tell you today, is if you do not have plans this Wednesday, or not this Wednesday, a week from this Wednesday, February 3rd, I will be speaking for Prophetic Outpour Ministries, and the topic that I'll be covering is overcoming your greatest enemy in 2016. Which is you. So if you are interested in listening to that, it is a phone call ministry. So basically they have a US number and a UK number as well. So whether you're in the US or the UK, you can join this call. It's a worldwide call so that you can hear the word. If you go to my Facebook page, Monica Van Deneede, there I am tagged in the flyer and you can get the phone number there. It will be at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Awesome. Okay, so just wanted to tell you guys that if you're in the UK or the US, please join that next week if you're interested in learning how to overcome your greatest enemy in 2016, which I ultimately believe is ourselves. So today, what I want to start off this turning 25, one of the things that I believe is the biggest thing that I am going to attempt my best to leave behind as I'm about to enter into this season of turning 25 is comparison. I think comparison is something that all people struggle with, no matter your age, no matter your denomination, no matter your race, culture, gender. I truly believe that comparison is something we all do and are encouraged to do by society. I feel like America is a culture that is extremely competitive, is extremely comparative, and likes to compare themselves to one another. So one thing that I definitely want to leave behind in turning 25 is comparison. And 3 things that I believe coincide with comparison are fear, jealousy, and envy. So I want to talk about those 3 things as well. But basically, what I've come to learn about comparison over the past 25 years of my life is this: ultimately, it will destroy you. And I want to give you some reasons why. Some people think it's not that big of a deal to compare yourself to someone else. But I want to go ahead and share with you guys this morning why ultimately, if you allow yourself to walk in comparison or compare yourself to others, it will destroy you. So the first reason that comparison will destroy you and why you should leave it behind is it because it ultimately sets you up for failure. So anytime that you decide to compare yourself to someone else, whether they're married, you're single, they have kids, you don't, how their ministry is versus how your ministry is, what kind of job they have, how much money they have, it will always set you up for failure 10 out of 10 times. When you compare yourself, you are guaranteeing that you are going to fail. And the reason being that comparison will always set you up for failure is this: you will never, ever be able to be better at being that person. So whoever the person is that you're comparing yourself to, 10 out of 10 times they will always beat you at being better at them, simply because you weren't created to be them. You weren't created to fulfill their purpose, to fulfill their destiny, to fulfill their calling, to fulfill why they were put on this earth. So whenever you try to match yourself against someone else, you're always going to fail, because he or she will always be better at being them than you ever will be. So what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to fail, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and you're setting yourself up ultimately to feel like a failure, because no matter what, they will always be better at being them than you are, because you simply weren't created to be them. Another thing that comparison will do, and this is definitely a huge reason why I want to leave comparison in my past, is comparison ultimately is a time waster. I believe one of the biggest reasons that the devil wants us to compare ourselves to other people is so that he can get us stuck wasting our time. And the reason that comparison is such a big waste of time is this: while you waste time comparing and trying to be someone else, you lose focus and energy on who you are and who you are called to be and what goals you should be accomplishing. So basically, the devil has you so busy looking at someone else, looking at what they're doing, looking at what they're accomplishing, that you end up wasting precious and valuable time that you should be discovering who you are, discovering what your purpose is, putting time and energy into the things God has called you to do, not time and energy into the things that God has called someone else to do or God has called someone else to be. So that's exactly why, comparison, why I think that's one of the devil's largest attacks against us today, is because if we can compare ourselves, he will get us in a place where we are constantly wasting our time trying to be somebody that we're not. Another thing that comparison will do to you, and another reason I want to leave it behind, is it will force you to despise those that are good for you, and it will draw you towards those that will cause you to stagnate. Now that may sound confusing, so let me explain this. When you are a person who constantly compares yourself to someone else, you won't want to be around people who are better than you, who are moving as quickly as you are. You won't want to be around successful people. So what you'll do is you'll purposely put yourself around people who aren't as accomplishing at a great as rate as you are, who aren't successful, people who are failing, so that when you compare yourself, you'll ultimately be able to feel good about yourself. So comparison will keep you from the relationships that you need, because you will despise those who are doing just as well as you are, and you will despise those who are walking in great success, who are walking in forward movement, and who are actually doing something with their lives, because they will make you feel insecure. So what happens is you will get rid of everyone good in your life, and you will start to cause those relationships to fail. And then I'm sure you've heard people say this before. Oh, I'm going to go find some ugly friends so that I can feel prettier. Or, oh, I'm going to go find some dumb friends so that I can feel smarter. So what happens when you fall into the trap of comparison is that you will purposely put yourself in bad relationships where people are not good for you and are accomplishing at a slower rate than you, so that when you do compare yourself, you will feel better. So comparison will put you ultimately in a place of stagnation, because now you're putting yourself around people who are going to stagnate you because they're not pushing you to be a better person. You know, the Bible tells us that iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. So if you put yourself around something that's more dull than you to feel better about yourself, ultimately you're not being sharpened. So another way that the devil tries to use comparison to attack us is to get us to put ourselves around people who are less dull than we are, so we're not being sharpened, which keeps us from moving forward, which keeps us from growing, which keeps us from walking further in our purpose and further in our destiny. And this is why we've got to kill comparison and leave it behind us. You know, another thing that comparison does is ultimately it causes jealousy and it causes envy, which are attacks against your purpose and against your destiny. I want to share a few scriptures real quick. Proverbs 14:30 says this: "A peaceful heart leads to a healthy body, but jealousy is like cancer in the bones." So literally we see here that jealousy can make you physically sick. And I think the reason being is because jealousy is an attack that you launch against yourself. Because ultimately you being jealous of someone else, what that says about you is that you don't love yourself. It says that you deal with some form of self-rejection. You deal with some form of self-hatred. So I think why the Bible tells us that jealousy is ultimately cancer in the bones is because what jealousy is saying at the end of the day that you aren't enough, so you have to envy something else. And what self-hatred does is it literally makes you sick because you are hating yourself. And the Bible tells us that our words have the power of life and of death. So when we are a person who is constantly speaking about being jealous of others, envious of others, we are speaking death over ourselves and death over our bodies, which ultimately leads to cancer in the bones. I thought that scripture was so powerful and really unlocks one of the keys as to why it is so bad ultimately to compare yourself to others. Proverbs 27:4 says this: "Anger is cruel, and wrath is like a flood, but jealousy is even more dangerous." You know, I think a lot of us would say that anger and wrath are worse than jealousy, but that's not what the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us that jealousy is even more dangerous than cruelty and is even more dangerous than wrath. And I think the reason being is this: when someone is cruel, when someone is full of anger, when someone has a lot of wrath, we can see that. It's not hidden. You know, they'll snap, they'll scream, they'll yell, but jealousy is almost like a hidden sin because it's something that's lodged in our thoughts, and it's something, like I said, that literally reveals that we hate ourselves or that we deal with some form of self-rejection or some form of self-hatred. And I think this is why jealousy is worse, because wrath and anger is something that can be seen, is something that is evident, so ultimately is something that can be dealt with. But jealousy is so much harder to see because it is something that is rooted in our identity. Because what jealousy means is ultimately that you don't know who you are, or that you know who you are but you don't like who you are. And this is why jealousy is so bad and is sincerely an attack against your purpose and your destiny. And why, you know, the ultimate reason why I think that comparison is so dangerous and why the Bible says that jealousy is more dangerous is because of this. Comparison gets you so busy and distracted with trying to mimic another person and measure up to their accomplishments that subsequently you ignore your purpose and it dies. So this is why comparison is a serious attack. This is why jealousy and envy are serious attacks, because they're not after your confidence. They're not after, you know, making you feel good, but ultimately the spirit of comparison, jealousy, and envy are after your purpose and are after your destiny and ultimately want to destroy who you are. And that's why we've got to kill this thing. This is what James 3:16 says, because another thing that envy and comparison and jealousy will do is they will destroy every good relationship in your life. James 3:16 says this: whenever you're trying to look better than others or get the better of others, things fall apart and everyone ends up at each other's throats. And you need good relationships to succeed. You need a good hedge of protection around you to succeed. You need good friends to hold you accountable. But what happens is when you allow yourself to compare, when you become envious and jealous, what happens is, as the Bible says in James 3:16, everyone ends up at each other's throats. So you end up destroying the very relationships you need to walk in the fullness of your destiny, to walk in the fullness of your purpose, and to walk in the fullness of who you've been called to be. So as you can see, from all of the examples that I've just given, comparison is something we are needing to leave behind and walk away from if we want to see great success in 2016. And this is why, right about as I'm about to turn 25, one of the things I want to leave in my past is comparison, because I have seen in my own life personally how comparison has come to try to attack me and destroy me. I can't tell you how many hours, minutes, seconds I've wasted comparing myself to other people when I could have been spending that time, that money, and that energy trying to discover who I am and walking in the fullness of what God has called me to do. We live in a society where I think one of the biggest ways that the fashion industry, perpetuates itself and is successful is through trying to make us look like someone else. We want to buy this, we want to do this, we want to get this and wear this so that we can look like someone else. Comparison is all around us. I think social media is one of the largest attacks that have ever been launched against our identity. Our identity is attacked when we spend all day, looking at other people's pages saying, oh, I want to be like them, I want to do what they do, and that is such an attack against who we've been called to be. So what I want to do today, guys, is just leave you with Galatians 6:4 as an encouragement of what you should be doing. And Galatians 6:4 says this: but each one must carefully scrutinize his own work, examining his actions, attitudes, and behaviors, and then he can have the personal satisfaction and inner joy of doing something commendable without comparing himself to another. So if you feel like you're lacking personal satisfaction and inner joy, maybe one of the things that's come to steal your joy and to steal your inner satisfaction is that you are comparing yourselves to other people. And this is one of the greatest attacks that comparison does. It makes you unable to love yourself, unable to embrace your own identity, and unable to embrace exactly who God has called you to be. This is why we have got to leave comparison behind us, because this is what happens when you finally let go of comparison. When you finally understand that the only person you should be competing with is you, you will no longer feel intimidated by other people's successes or waste your time trying to be someone or something that you're not. This is what we have to come to an understanding of. We don't need another one of them. Whoever you're looking at today and saying, I wish I could be more like that person, God is not a God who creates things on accident. He is not repetitive. He does not, he's a creative God. He's a purposeful God. So God did not create you with the thorn in your side of trying to be like someone else. He created you uniquely to be a solution to this world, to fix another problem. He created you with your own purpose and your own destiny. So what we have to understand is we don't need another one of them. What we truly need is the best version of you and who you are. And ultimately, the greatest sacrifice and the greatest consequence of trying to mimic, trying to imitate, or trying to compare yourself to someone else is this. And this is the final thought I want to leave you guys with. When you waste your time mimicking someone else, your unique purpose and destiny dies, and you will experience constant failure because you simply aren't them. And that's the one thought I want us to understand today. When we spend time trying to compare ourselves, trying to mimic, and trying to be someone else, ultimately, the unique person that only you can be, the unique me that God created, will die because I'm wasting all my time, energy, money, resources trying to be someone else who I simply am not. So as I turn 25, and I'm about to turn 25 in a week, I'm a deep person, and I like to think, I like to reflect. And so as I'm reflecting, what happens is I'm trying to think of what I want to leave behind and not take with me as I turn 25. And one of the things that I am so sure that I want to leave behind is comparison. So I encourage you guys today as well, as you've seen what comparison and envy and jealousy can do, I encourage you to stop wasting your time comparing yourself to others and begin to love yourself, embrace yourself, use that same time and energy to discover who you are and walk in the fullness of it. So today was day 1 of 5 things I want to leave behind. I hope you guys enjoyed it and were blessed by it. I love you guys, and I really want to pour into you as I'm about to turn 25 because you guys are one of my greatest blessings. So another thing I'm going to be doing throughout this 5 days of what I want to leave behind is sharing some quick thoughts or quotes from each day. So make sure you guys are following me on Instagram at Wisdom is the New Black, because once I jump off here, I'm going to share one of the quotes or the main ideas from this message today so that you can share that on all your social media outlets as well. It'll be on my Facebook page, Wisdom is the New Black. I'll be posting some new articles, so make sure you subscribe at wisdomisthenewblack.com, and make sure you mark your calendars for next Wednesday, February 3rd at 7:30 Central Standard Time for Prophetic Outpour Ministries, where I will be sharing about overcoming your worst enemy in 2016, which is ultimately you. So happy Monday. I hope this has helped you guys to start off your week in success and in prosperity and feeling good and hopeful and joyful. And I encourage you guys today not to compare yourself to others, but to use your energy and time discovering who you are and walking in the fullness of that. So thank you guys for joining me on this little 7-day journey to my birthday. I love you guys. You guys are a blessing to my life. #Scope family. You guys have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 2 of what we should leave behind. Have a great day. Bye.